Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Okay, so we are reading chapter 9, and this chapter is called as the most confidential knowledge, because if there is most confidential knowledge, there has to be a confidential knowledge, and there has to be a general knowledge. So Prabhupada explains here in this chapter that general knowledge is that we are not this body, we are soul. That is common sense. By common sense, you can arrive at this conclusion: we are not this body, we are soul. We don't need big rocket science for that. And confidential knowledge is knowledge of God. That is more subtle. You can't know by your common sense. You have to be informed by scriptures. Who is God? And the most confidential knowledge is the relationship between God and us. That is pure devotion. And that knowledge Krishna gives in 9th chapter. Krishna was speaking about pure devotion all along, but in this chapter he is explaining in details what is pure devotion. And also he is explaining that people who take to pure devotion, they can attain to him very easily. And many people who don't take to pure devotion, who try other things, like for example, who are attached to impersonal Brahman, or who worship demigods, or who do sacrifices, who worship this universal form, all of them, although those methods are there mentioned in Vedic scriptures, but they don't attain to Krishna. Because to attain to Krishna, you need pure devotion. That is the most confidential knowledge which Krishna is giving here. So let's first read the first paragraph and the purport. So Krishna says, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha, everybody. Idam tu te guhyatamam pravakshayami anusuyave jnanam vijnana sahitam yajgyatva mokshase shubha. Supreme Personality of Godhead said, my dear Arjuna, because you are never envious of me, I shall impart to you this most confidential knowledge and realization, knowing which you shall be relieved from miseries of material existence. So, Krishna is himself now speaking. So, the most confidential knowledge is the knowledge of devotional service and the knowledge of mercy of God. That's why Krishna is saying, I am giving you myself by my causeless mercy. He didn't ask question. See, all along he was asking question, no? Always. But he never asked question, anything. And Krishna continues himself. So that's most confidential knowledge. Krishna is infinitely merciful. And he does everything. He does creation, maintenance, destruction, and yet he is not attached to anything. He doesn't need to do, but he does for us. And that's the most confidential knowledge. That is the knowledge of the nature of God. So, knowledge of pure devotion, that's the first thing, most confidential knowledge. And the second thing is, what is the nature of God? That's most confidential, no? That should be most confidential. In other chapters, Krishna was telling, I am this, who is God? But what is my nature? That is described here. And the most confidential knowledge, third point is, Krishna is also telling that there is a spiritual world, and there are spiritual bodies, and there is spiritual activity. That's the most, because people, many transcendentalists, they think that spiritual world is infinite, indescribable. There are no activities, you merge, all these things are there. But there is a high understanding of spiritual world, spiritual bodies, spiritual activities, spiritual love. And that's most confidential knowledge also which Krishna is explaining here. So why it is called most confidential knowledge? Because these things are difficult to understand, no? Very difficult. Nature of God. Come on, you should first know who is God. We have to be convinced in this age, no? And spiritual word and spiritual activities. How do you understand that? And there is spiritual anger. How do you understand that? What's spiritual anger? Normal people, they are having very restricted understanding. You should not be angry. Their knowledge is limited to this point. That's morals. But it's beyond, much beyond what is spiritual anger, what is spiritual, for example, spiritual frustration, spiritual anxiety. It's difficult to understand. We are limited. So, all this, that's why this is most confidential knowledge. You need to have some base to come to this thing. That is why you see this chapter is in between. It's 9th. How many chapters? 18 chapters? Just in between. So Krishna keeps most confidential knowledge hidden in between of the case of Bhagavad Gita. So even if you start from beginning or you start from end, you have to read some portion of it to come to this more confidential. You can't just directly jump. So he purposefully did that. So like the example is given, like a jewel in a case, there's a lid. You close it. So first 7 chapters is upper lid, last 8 chapters are lower lid, and this is the 9th in between. Krishna safeguards. So Prabhupada writes, let's read the purport of this word, of this verse. And this is an interesting purport, like Prabhupada makes point. First 9 chapter, first verse purport. As devotee hears more and more about Supreme Lord, he becomes enlightened. So Krishna is telling about himself, no? His nature is mercy. Because he wants hearing process recommended in Srimad Bhagavatam. Message of Supreme Personality of Godhead are full of potencies. These potencies can be realized if topics regarding Supreme Personality of Godhead are discussed among devotees. This cannot be achieved by association of mental speculators or academic scholars, for it is realized knowledge. Krishna is, what is mercy of Krishna? And how he begins the topic is that now his nature is he is infinitely merciful. How do we perceive his mercy? We perceive his mercy by hearing about him. You don't perceive mercy of God by eyes, by nose, by ears. That's important. If you want to see God, you don't see him by eyes. You see him by ears. That's spiritual word. So you have to hear about him. But Prabhupada writes in next paragraph of this purport, the devotees are constantly engaged in Supreme Lord service. The Lord understands the mentality and sincerity of a particular living entity who is engaged in Krishna consciousness, gives him the intelligence to understand science of Krishna in association of devotees. What do you understand by this statement?
So we can't understand this by our own endeavor?
Yeah. Anything else you want to qualify? That is okay, but...
He's creating an ecosystem where a devotee can...
Okay, good, yeah, he's creating
he gives
devotees. That's okay, but if you read full sentence, read full. Who's engaged in Krishna consciousness gives him intelligence to understand science on Krishna consciousness in association of devotees. So, see the point. Now I'm telling you how to read. The point here is, even though you are in association of devotees, you might not understand him if he is not giving intelligence. See? So Prabhupada is writing, Krishna gives him intelligence to understand science of Krishna consciousness in association of devotees. So in association of devotees, Prabhupada is making 2 points. You get intelligence to understand Krishna through devotees. Why through devotees? Because devotees are passing you this knowledge of Gita, and this is intelligence, scriptural intelligence. And another meaning is that even if you are in association of devotees, if Krishna doesn't give you intelligence from within to understand the message, we will not understand anything. We can't understand. Dhammi Buddhi, he is to inspire from. That's why Prabhupada raises the point, the full line. Lord understands the mentality and sincerity of particular living entity who is engaged in Krishna consciousness. See? So many people come, many people hear the same message, but everybody doesn't understand the same thing, because Krishna makes everybody understand according to his mentality and sincerity. What does it mean? Sincerity of the goal. Achieving the goal. Sincerity means determination. Sincerity doesn't mean I am sincere. Okay. Sincerity means how much he is determined. And determination means enthusiasm to follow the process. That Krishna sees. And enthusiasm to follow the process means enthusiasm to follow rules and regulations. He sees how much process he wants to follow, and he gives accordingly intelligence to understand. And mentality means does he have any desires? Does he want anything else than me? He sees that. If you want some Krishna, some other thing, then he will give you accordingly. This is very important. So then you can read this purport afterwards. But let's go to second verse. Second verse, Krishna starts his message now. And he speaks about what is devotion. If anybody asks what is bhakti, this is the verse to be quoted. What is bhakti? Now, what do you say? You have to speak for 1 minute. So you have to learn this verse. Raj Vidya Raj Guyam Pavitram Hedam Uttamam Pratakshvagamam Dharmayam Susukham Kartamavyam. Every word is important. Bhakti 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 adjectives to bhakti. What is bhakti? You must know 6 things. Explain him 6 things. Okay. What is bhakti? There are 6 things in bhakti. Now what are those? It is Raj Vidya. Raj Vidya means the king of all education. King of all education means that there are many philosophies in this world. But bhakti is a supreme philosophy. That's the king of education. So, Prabhupada says there are many subjects, mundane subjects, spiritual subjects, mysticism, and then so many types of realizations. But out of all those things which are mentioned in Vedas, Raj Vidya means which are mentioned in Vedas, education which is mentioned in Vedas, the science of bhakti is the supreme most. There are many vidyas in Vedas, no? But Raj Vidya, that is Sharanagati Vidya, bhakti, that's the supreme most. And Raj Guyam means the most confidential knowledge. So why it is most confidential? Because it cannot be understood by ordinary intelligence. You need to serve God to understand this. Just by scholarliness we will not be able to catch it. That's not possible. So this knowledge is confidential because it is hidden by God. Although everybody knows, but they still don't know. It is an open secret. That way you can say. Everybody knows. So many people go to temple in India. So many people do something. Everybody is doing something in India, no? But still Krishna will hide it. Because unless he doesn't serve him, he will not reveal him in his heart. Why? Because if he reveals his knowledge in his heart to everybody, then it is like trying to understanding calculus without knowing what is 1 plus 1. You can't understand. And so what is happening, What is this? Calculus. What is minus 1? Under root of minus 1. What is this? I don't understand. So that's why you need some kind of platform, foundation. That is why Raj Guyam. Pavitram. It is supremely pure. What do you mean by supremely pure? It is a purest. What do you mean by purest? Bhakti. Why it is called pure?
There is no tinge of other aspects.
What do you mean by that? You have to speak like
Because it is
like
it is for Krishna.
Student of Bhagavad Gita.
For the supreme pure.
Because this knowledge is above modes of material nature. It has nothing to do with mode of ignorance, passion, and even goodness. It is much beyond that. It is pure. There is no tinge of lust, envy, greed, selfishness. There is nothing. There, bhakti will teach you how to focus on happiness of God, not your happiness. Finish. That's all. So if you want happiness, the only rule is give happiness to God. You can't be happy without giving him happiness. If you're looking for your happiness, you will suffer. That's the trick. It's like king. King is also like that. If king wants to be happy, he has to forget his happiness and make his subjects happy. That is Ramayana. That's all about Ram. That's what he was teaching. So similarly, the same rule applies here. Same rule applies in family. If the husband wants to be happy, he has to make sure his wife and children are happy. Otherwise, he'll be like messed up. If his wife and children are not happy, if he's doing everything else in the world to become happy, he cannot be happy. So same rule applies all along. And that same rule is coming from spiritual world. Because in spiritual world, this rule is, everybody gets they know that by giving him happiness, you become happy. So that's why it is purest. And Uttamam means transcendental. So Uttamam means it is, this knowledge is beyond matter. It's nothing to do with matter. Nothing to do with matter, this matter. It is to do with spiritual soul. Not with mind, not with intelligence, not with body. Soul. Uttamam. Pratyakshavagamam. It can be understood by direct experience. Pratyaksh means direct experience, no? So bhakti can be understood by direct experience. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, fifth thing. Direct experience means it is, you can hear it, you follow it, and you know it. That's simple. Prabhupada said in one word that you don't need certificate for Krishna consciousness. You know it. That's all. How can you be so sure that there is spiritual word, God and devotion? Somebody asks you, and you say that I don't need to be sure, I know it. That's the conviction which devotion will give you. And the sixth is Susukham kartum abhyam. It is very enjoyable, no? You dance, you are feasting. Which process is enjoyable like this? Tell me. There is no process. All of the processes demands austerities, big fastings, meditation, forest. But this process even a child can do. So this bhakti is enjoyable when you are practicing, and it is also enjoyable in perfection. Most of the processes, other processes are painful when in the process when you're practicing. It might be enjoyable when you attain perfection. But this is both means and ends, process and goal. Both are enjoyment. Both journey and your destination. Both are enjoyable. Just like we go for picnic, people enjoy driving. So it's like that. Going back to God, it is enjoyable. It is enjoyable because, why it is enjoyable? Because in the process, because Krishna is all along with us. In other processes, people are alone. They are jnanis, yogis, meditators. They are trying to advance. But here, we are surrendered to God. He is helping us to move forward. We are putting endeavors, but He helps. Just like a child. So he is walking, but father helps by catching hold of the hand. So child enjoys now. Like that. So that is bhakti. If you want to quote what is bhakti, explain this verse. Remember this. So see, most confidential knowledge. No, all these things, how an ordinary person can understand if he doesn't have base.
Right.
And he will ask someone any questions, why, what you are saying, what is modes, what is that. And this is a very long purport, you can go and read. And then he goes on 4th and 5th verse. He speaks about his nature. I told you. This chapter is talking about nature of God.
Right.
4th and 5th verse, 9th chapter, he is talking about his nature. And what is his nature? Maya tatam idam sarvam jagad vyakta murtina mat sthani sarva bhutani nacham teshu avasthita. 9th chapter, 4th verse. I am reading translation. By me, in my unmanifested form, this entire universe is pervaded. All beings are in me, but I am not in them. And 5th verse, and yet everything that is created does not rest in me. Behold my mystic opulence. I am the maintainer of all living entities, everywhere. am not a part of this cosmic manifestation for myself is the very source of creation. See, Krishna says, I am there, but I am not. I maintain everything, but I don't get involved. So this is his transcendental nature. Now what are these two verses all about? Oh, somebody came. These two verses are all about Achinte Bheda Bhed Tattva. That's a philosophy. That's a philosophy of Bhagavad Gita. If anybody asks, what is your philosophy? Achinte Bhed Abhed. Achinte means inconceivable. Inconceivable doesn't mean that you can't conceive. Inconceivable means you can conceive, you can hear, but you cannot understand. You see, it doesn't mean that inconceivable means there is nothing to talk about it. God is inconceivable. Who is God? Can't talk. Inconceivable. But no, that's wrong. So who is God? Yes, 4th verse, 5th verse. You can hear to a certain extent. You can understand to a certain extent. If you can't understand, then why you are here? But you can't understand fully. That is the meaning of inconceivable. Aprapya mansasaha. That's Upanishad says. Mind goes and returns back. So you are able to get some idea, but not everything. You go to ocean, see the ocean, you know there is water, you know this is ocean. How much water? Don't know. How big ocean? You can't make out. But do you know ocean? Yes, I know ocean. But really, do you know? No, I don't know. That's how Upanishads talk. Who is God? Can you know God? Yes, we can know God. And yet, we cannot know Him. You have read Upanishads? Upanishads go like this. It's like different kind of language. So somebody asks question. The Gargi and Maitreya, their discussions. Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. And then Kaivalya Upanishad, there are discussions. And who is God? Yes. Can you know God? We can know Him. And yet we cannot know Him. So how do you understand that? Like this. You can know these things, but still you can't know. What is sky? Can anybody know? If you ask a child, where is sky? What he will tell? But where is it? It's all around, no? You can't tell the beginning, you can't tell the end. But you can tell that this is sky. So how can you tell about something that this is this, without telling its beginning, end and middle? Still you can point out, no? So how? That is inconceivable, no? Is it? So that is like God. You can say something about Him, but not everything. So these two, Achinte, that means Achinte. Bhed and Abhed. Bhed means He is different from this word. Abhed means He is one with this word. Abhed. So why He is different? He is different because He is not interested in this word. And yet He creates, maintains and destroys. He is one with the word. One with the word means He is involved, yet He is not involved. Now if you read the purport, Prabhupada gives the example of a judge. Judge is involved, case, and he gives decision, but still he is not involved. Because it's not his decision. He gives decision according to laws. Okay, this, okay, fine. He is hanged, he is released, everything he does, but when he goes home, he doesn't have to do anything with that. He doesn't go home, weep, oh, I hanged somebody today. No, he's neutral. He doesn't have to do anything. Similarly, God, he is involved and he is not involved. He does everything, but at the same time, he is busy in his spiritual world with his devotees. He's playing, he's dancing, he's playing his flute, he's giving pleasure to his devotees. So, similarly is the nature of devotees. I'll come to this point, but this is nature of God. So, and then, anyway, you read after that, we'll go fast forward and come here now. See this 9th verse, Krishna says, Nacha mam tani karmani nimadanti dhananjaya udasin vadadasin asaktam teshu karmasu. O Dhananjay, all this work cannot bind me. All this work means work of creation, maintenance and destruction.
Right.
I'm ever detached to all these material activities, seated as though neutral. I'm detached. So Krishna is teaching us how we can be detached yet doing everything, no? He said, take an example. He does everything yet he's detached. Now self-realized people also like that, no? They do everything but yet they're detached. They're like lotus in a pond. They're not touched by water. It is up. So how does he do that? There's only one thing. There's only one trick you can do this. Krishna, just like judge, he goes home, forgets everything. No, he's not interested. Similarly, Krishna is meditating on his devotees and the love of his devotees and the service of his devotees. And his mind is there. Although he's doing everything, his interest is there. But these things he is doing out of causeless mercy to help us. So he's detached. Just like when you had cricket in India, people are doing everything, but their focus is, what is the score? So their mind doesn't get involved in these things. They are doing these things. Everybody is doing job as previously they used to go.
Right.
And they are doing job with the same whatever intensity, whatever they are doing. But at the same time, their mind, when cricket is, their mind is all on cricket. Every hour there's radio, what's the score, Pakistan, especially Pakistan-India match. So similarly, if you want to do work with detachment, you have to have attachment to God. Otherwise you'll not be able to do it. You can't do it that way. The attachment has to go somewhere. Is it? So that's why this is most confidential knowledge. Krishna is giving knowledge of spiritual world. Now he comes immediately. He'll come to that point. Because he has raised the point of detachment. And Krishna Mande Jagat Guru. Krishna is Supreme Spiritual Master. We learn from him. So he is, now he will talk about spiritual world. That I am busy in spiritual world. I enjoy that. My mother, father, everybody is there. Nanda, Yashodama. And my mind is there. I'm doing everything but my mind is there. So then why you are doing all these things? Because Krishna loves his devotees, but there is another nature. He's infinitely merciful. That nature. Because of mercy, he can't see people rotting around in this material world without him. He wants them back in spiritual world. He wants them to enjoy with him. So he does everything. Just like a self-realized person, no? Self-realized person is Atmaram. He is satisfied in himself. He can sit in samadhi under a tree chanting God's name for infinite period of time. But he is having one sorrow, that other people are not able to taste this bliss what I am tasting. That's a gentleman, no? And that's common sense. If you have some knowledge you want to share, is it? Whatever you have knowledge, then you start speaking to people. If you have money, you don't share that. That's one thing. But good people share. Bad people do not do. Just like our Agarwal community, they like to give charity, no?
Yeah.
They have money and then they feel for others, okay, other people don't have, okay, let them help. So whatever you have, if you are good, you want to share. If you are selfish, then you don't. But we are not talking about selfish people here. We are talking about self-realized people, much above all good people in this world. So they want to share. Once they touch God through devotion, they get infinite bliss. And then they think, oh my God, I have to distribute it. Naturally, it overflows. And then they go and they see, oh, people are enjoying in these small things. Let me give them bliss. And they start preaching. So that's out of mercy. He doesn't need to do, but he's doing out of mercy. But he's not entangled in anything because he's enjoying bliss with God. That's where interest is. That's what is Krishna saying. Okay, so now Krishna says about, actually this, you should remember this, 11th verse you remember 11th verse. He's talking about his nature. His spiritual nature. I told you now, he will talk about why he's not interested in this material world. because there is some spiritual word and spiritual nature. In 9th chapter 11th verse, Krishna says, Avajananti mamura manushim tanumashritam param bhavam ajananto mama bhuta maheshwaram. Muda means foolish man. That's why one reporter came, Prabhupada was asking Prabhupada, oh, why do you say everybody rascal and fool? But say, I don't say, Krishna says. I am repeating. And you see there, anybody who doesn't know God, doesn't know Krishna, is fool. Krishna says, fools deride me when I descend in human form. People think Krishna is like human? No. People think Krishna is birth and death? No. People think Krishna is having body made of matter? Absolutely wrong. They do not know my transcendental nature as Supreme Lord of all that be. I have come from spiritual world, descended. That's what is the meaning of avatar. Some spiritual word. I am spiritual. Although I look like ordinary man, but I am spiritual. Although Bhishma was shooting arrows in the battlefield on me, and the arrows were hitting him. When Bhishma took a vow, today I'll kill Arjuna. And when he took a vow, Krishna understood, today Arjuna is dead. Because if Bhishma takes a vow, no, what is Arjuna? So Krishna stood in between Arjuna and Bhishma. And all the arrows he took on his chest. And there was blood. But Bhagavatam, most confidential knowledge, secret. Bhagavatam says that is pastime of God. There was no blood. No arrow. It was just illusion. And for Krishna, people were seeing arrows, but actually those were not arrows, those were flowers. And there was no blood. Krishna, that is worship of Krishna. So most confidential knowledge is, until unless it's not revealed to you, you will not understand. You can hear, sometimes you can't even hear, you don't know what's happening. So that's Krishna saying, that's my nature. People who understand my nature, they are free from birth and death. So what's that verse?
I read that when Bhishma was shooting arrows, Krishna was feeling them as flowers, not that...
Yeah, of course. But of course, his feeling and he are not different, no? His feeling is also reality, no? Our feeling is illusion. His feeling is also reality. So in that sense, if Krishna would have removed Maya, we would have seen, it's flowers. There's no blood. There was no blood. He was seeing as blood, but there's no blood. Krishna's body isn't a blood like this. He is spiritual, no? Spirit doesn't have blood, nothing. So that's the point. Okay. And then, so you see how he's developing most confidential knowledge. This is not ordinary knowledge. And then Krishna says in 13th verse, how people who understand this most confidential knowledge, they also get qualities of God. Mahatmanas tu mam partha devim prakrte mashrita bhajanti ananemaso gatvadim bhutademabhyam. O son of Pritha, those who are not deluded, great souls under protection of divine nature. Devim prakrte mashrita. They are fully engaged in devotion because they know me as Supreme Personality of Godhead, original and exhaustible. So devotees, pure devotees, they know the nature of God. They know their service to God. That's how they achieve God. Others who are trying other things, who are worshipping demigods, or worshipping impersonal Jyoti, or worshipping whatever process Vedas are saying, they cannot attain God as these people, as pure devotees attain. They can see some aspect of God. They can realize super soul. Because they are trying to understand God by the other processes, no? So it should not go waste. Krishna reveals to them partially, but his devotees fully. Just like a man reveals himself fully to his wife. There is nothing hidden from wife, no? She knows everything inside out. But to the word he releases partial. He reveals his partial image. This word doesn't know who is he fully. Only wife knows. Why? Because wife loves. There's love. So love can reveal full nature of God. That is the most confidential knowledge. We are hearing, but love can reveal that. And that is this verse all about. Daivim prakartim ashrita. Daivim means love. Love. Daivi. Love can reveal you everything. Everything it can reveal. Is it? And Krishna likes to reveal himself whom he loves. No? So, and then next verse Krishna says, what is love? Now anybody can ask, what is love? Okay. So love is, oh, I die for you. It's not just emotions, no. It's not dialogue. It's not lip service. What is love? Krishna says, 14th verse, Satatam kirtayanto mam etantasya jidhavrita namasyantascha mam bhaktya nityayukta upasate. Satatam kirtayanto. This is easy Sanskrit, everybody can understand. It's like Hindi. Satatam kirtayanto mam. He's always engaged in kirtan. See? Kirtan means chanting. Hare Krishna. That's why when people come to ISKCON, they say, you don't have any other bhajan to sing or what? You're always chanting Hare Krishna. No?
Yeah.
But no, Krishna says, you just chant my names. Everything is there in my names. Don't worry about that. God's name and God is not different. Once you relish that, just like you can keep girlfriend and boyfriend together in a park. Whole day they'll be sitting in one bench. They'll not go anywhere. And the entire day that boyfriend will keep on saying, girlfriend, I love you. I love you. I love you. And that person who is watching, he says, you don't have anything else to do? How can you whole day sit in one place and just keep on repeating, I love you? By logic, you can't. It's by love. And he's repeating. So that's why we repeat Hare Krishna mantra. Whole day you're sitting and repeating Hare Krishna mantra. How can you do that? Well, you try it and then you know. That's all. So Satatam kirtayanto mam yatantasya dridhavrita. And they follow Dridhavrata. Prabhupada explains Dridhavrata as determination. Determination, the word-to-word meaning. Dridhavrata. Vrata means vow.
Wow. Yeah.
So pure devotees, they have a fixed vow. They don't break their vows. They don't break rules and regulations. Dridhavrata. They follow rules and regulations of devotion perfectly. That is love. In love, you follow rules and regulations automatically and perfectly. Without love, you follow rules and regulations like we are doing through knowledge. It is good for us. That was we think. But when you love Krishna, you don't think it is good for us. No more. You bypass that stage. Now you follow rules and regulations because you know that Krishna likes it. You do whatever he likes, no? It's a different thing. You no longer think it is good for me or I like. Krishna likes, so I have to do. So just like, for example, parents, they get up early in the morning to leave children to the school in America. In India also, now it's happening. Automatically they get up in the morning. So, but in spirituality, when person comes new, we tell them, get up in the morning. Because morning time is good, Brahm Muhurat. You have to do spiritual practices in the morning. And he gets up. How? Because then we tell him, oh, it's good for you. No? And okay, it's good for me, for my soul, I'll get up in the morning. But the parents are getting, not because they're thinking it is good for me, because they love their child. They're thinking it's good for my child to go to school in early morning and I have to leave him. He's insecure. Somebody can kidnap him. In Delhi, people are afraid, so they go. Traffic. So they go like that. So see, both are getting up in the morning. It is a different in outlook. Is it? One is by love. One is by selfish. Okay, it is good for me. So you start with this. Everybody starts with this concept. It is good for me. You don't have love. But then slowly when you advance, you get up early in the morning. Why? Because then in the night you sleep and you think, oh, in the morning I'll get up and I'll glorify Krishna. It will be so nice. He will feel so happy. It's a different outlook. Now he's no more thinking it's good for me. He's bypass stage. Automatically it is good. See? So that is love. Idanta cha dridhavrata. Dridhavrata means he follow rules and regulations with determination. And wherever there is enthusiasm, there is determination. Wherever there is love, automatically there is enthusiasm. You don't need to be enthusiastic artificially. Namasyantascha mam bhaktaya. And he offers me, namasyantas means obeisances. He offers obeisances to me and my devotees. Bhaktaya and devotees. Bhaktaya means in devotion. So he serves my devotees. That's the idea. Not only me, but my devotees also. Nitya yukta upasate. Such a devotees, nitya yukt means always joined with me. So if anybody asks you what is love, this is a verse you have to quote. Don't say, love, yeah, I can explain you, but I cannot explain you. It is you have to feel. No, you have to have some definition. Gita is giving you signs. So I just told you, if somebody asks what is the nature of God, which verse you should quote?
13, 14.
No. 4, 3 and 4, 5.
4, 5, 9 chapter, 4th and 5th.
Okay, sorry.
And if somebody asks you what is devotion, which verse you quote?
9:2.
9:2. Somebody asks you what is love, which verse you should quote?
9:14.
9:14. There are 3 things in love. He's always chanting, always kirtan. He's following rules and regulations perfectly, and he's serving devotees. If he's doing this is love. If you see this, it's objective. If he's not doing, he's speaking simply. Is it? Simple. If you want to please the master, serve the dog. It is said, pat the dog. In India, in America, no? Oh, your dog is so cute. You have to say this, otherwise that person, he didn't praise my... So you want to please the master, pat the dog. That's the idea. So you want to please Krishna, serve devotees. You become happy. Okay, so that is one thing. Now Krishna talks about people who don't have pure devotion, who are following other processes. They will not be able to know me as I am. They will know me partially, but not fully. That is also most confidential knowledge. Because many people are doing many things according to Vedas. They'll say, yes, it's in Vedas. Why you say that we will not know God fully? They can't understand. That is why this is most confidential knowledge. You see? So, this 15th verse is very important. Others, Krishna says others. See? He says others. So others, he puts them in another category. They will not know me fully. They can know me partially. Others who are engaged in sacrifice by cultivation of knowledge, worship of Supreme Lord as one without second, as diverse in many ways and in universal form. 3 people. Ekatvena, Prithatvena, Bahuda Vishwato Mukham. You see Sanskrit? So Ekatvena means some people worship God as one. Everything is one. As light, Jyoti. Okay. Prithatvena. Some people worship God as Prithak. Prithak means they worship God as that God is, there is one God and there are many demigods. So they worship demigods. Many people. This demigod Durga, Shiva, Brahmaji, Ganeshji, Kali, and so many local village. There are, local village gods. So they worship Prithatvena. So many. And Bahuda Vishwato Mukham. Vishwato Mukham means some people worship this universal form, this nature. People are like that. No? Many people worship nature. Okay, Krishna says, Yajanto mam upasate. Actually, they are worshipping me. But at the same time, they are not worshipping me. They are worshipping me indirectly by these things, not directly. That is why I reveal to them indirectly and partially, not fully. He doesn't reveal them fully. So, we have to understand that only by pure devotion, which is defined in 9 chapter 14 verse, we can know Krishna fully. That is a goal of life, knowing Him fully. Because without knowing Him fully, you will not be satisfied. If you don't know something fully, you are not satisfied, no? Is it? You go to somebody else's home, you go to a hotel, and you can stay there for 1 month, but you will not be satisfied. All facilities are there, more facilities than home. After 1 month, you will say, come on, मैं अपनी खाट पे आकर सोऊंगा. Why? Because you know your house fully. You are comfortable. You know everything around. In hotel, you have all facilities, but you don't know everything about hotel. What's going in background? Who are the people working? So your mind is in tension. Like there is a subconscious feeling of I do not know, and that gives you uncomfort. But here you can control. You know everything. So okay, I'm comfortable now. So similarly, if you don't know God fully, you will not be satisfied. Only by love you know Him fully. But these processes, Krishna doesn't reveal you Himself fully. He'll show Himself as Jyoti, his effulgence of body, as super soul, but they're very partial things. He will not reveal His spiritual activities, His spiritual word, His spiritual nature, what we are talking. And devotee will not be satisfied, not full satisfaction. Tathatma dhana shamyati, that's what Bhagavatam, that's a dictum of Bhagavatam. Soul is fully satisfied when he loves God. Otherwise, no satisfaction. So now Krishna goes ahead.
Worship of the Supreme Lord as one without a second.
Yeah, same thing.
It's better, right, Prabhu? We are worshiping.
No. This means, you read proper, this is different meaning. This is not related to process, it is related to everything is one. That kind of worship. One without second person. Okay, now you can read, Krishna speaks about Himself, more about His nature. He speaks in now verses, and now we go directly to 23rd verse. Or maybe 22nd verse. This verse is important. This verse is LIC. Yogakshema vahamyam ananya chintayanto imam yajana paripasate tesham nitya bhuktanam yogakshema vahamyam. What do you mean by yogkshem? What is yog? Requirements. Krishna gives what devotees lack. Yog means linking. So what you lack, what links you lack, Krishna will provide you those links. Okay, He'll give what you lack. And kshema means He'll preserve what you have. Shame. He'll not put you to shame. Shame, English what? Shame. So that's shame. You can remember like that. You have shame because if you lose something, it's shameful, no? So He'll preserve what you have. So now answer me. What He will give? He'll give what you lack. What you lack?
Bhakti, devotion to His lotus feet.
Okay. Now He's talking about devotees here already. What do devotees lack?
Association.
What else?
Concentration.
No, I have been talking. What do you lack? What do you lack?
Love.
Yeah. Simple. He'll give you love. And before that, He'll give you bliss. We don't have bliss in devotion, no. He'll give you bliss to continue in devotion. If you don't have bliss, you can't do it. So He'll give you that. We lack that. We lack satisfaction. We lack happiness. We lack bliss. He'll give you. And what He preserves? Shema. What do you have now? Devotion. He'll protect your devotion. So LIC took this for money. Yogakshema vahamyam. We'll give you what you lack. Money. Loans. And we'll preserve what you have. You'll get credits on your whatever. Profits, interests. But there is nothing to do with that. And they stole Krishna's knowledge. So, Yogakshema Bhamyam, He gives bliss and He protects our devotion. Is it? How does He do that? By His mercy. That is the most confident. This is most confidential now. See, all these topics. How He acts. One, we talked about the nature of God. These activities of God. That is also most confidential. Ordinary person cannot understand. So this is another most confidential thing which Krishna is telling. My activities, how I work, how I help my devotees, nobody can understand. By my causeless mercy, I give them bliss, which nobody can see. Anybody can see? Anybody can share? No. You can't even share that. You have, if you have, you have. If you don't have, you don't have. You can't take from me my bliss. You have to experience yourself. I can give you some shadow of that. But you can't have that. So that is most confidential. Even if you know, you do not know. So it's most confidential, but we know. No. See, we know most confidential knowledge, but then why it's most confidential? It's supposed to be kept secret, no? Why it's still a secret to you all? Because you have to get it on your own. So, yes, that is activities of God. You should write. That is also most confidential knowledge. Krishna is telling his activity. How he works, nobody can understand. But yet he works. He is in background of everything. But we are so foolish, we don't recognize his workings. And then Krishna goes in 23rd verse and some verses about demigods. Those who are devotees of other gods, 23rd verse, worship them in faith, actually worship only me, but they do so in wrong way. Many people who worship demigods, Ganesh, Durga, Brahma, Shiva, so many people, so many demigods, they worship them, but do so in a wrong way. They worship Krishna ultimately. Why? Because these demigods, when you worship to demigods, they don't take worship, they pass it to Krishna. They don't keep to themselves because they know they are devotees. Vaishno Devi, she is devotee of Vishnu. Shiva, he is the greatest Vaishnava. Vaishnava Ram Yatha Shambhu. What Shiva chants? Ram, Ram, Ram. Rama Rama Rameti Mano Ramai Ramo Rame. Vishnu Sahasranam. Parvati asked Shiva. Shiva told, okay. So he's chanting Ram, he's chanting Krishna. So whenever people go to him, they transfer the worship to Krishna in their mind. But that's a wrong way. Krishna says, that's a wrong way. Why don't you directly come to me? Why do you go like this? So pure devotees are focused only on Krishna. And if you satisfy Krishna, all demigods are satisfied. No? Because they're servants of God. They're more than happy. They're worshipping our Krishna. But if you worship them, then there's a problem. Because generally people who worship demigods, they do so with desires. No? Vaishno Devi, people go for desires. No? Generally, to fulfill our desires. Yeah.
But it is said that, like Lord Ganesha, it is said that he was blessed. That whenever somebody will start a new project, they will worship you. So automatically he's been blessed by Krishna to be worshipped.
Yeah.
Then
so
why should people go directly to Krishna?
No, for ignorant people. For people who don't have knowledge of pure devotion, for them. Who don't have association of, everybody is not fortunate to associate with devotees. So Krishna has a plan for others also. It's not that if you don't worship me, you go to hell. There has to be a plan for everybody. He is king. He has to think of everybody. We are subjects. We don't have to think of everybody. We have to think of God, of king. Says that if you keep yourself in king's position, you can't. Is it? So for parents have, suppose if a parent has four children, 2 are bad, 2 are good. So parents do not only think of good children, no, they also devise some plan that my bad children also come to me.
Okay.
But the brothers might not be thinking of each other. You say, he's bad. Mama, why do you talk with him? But as a parent, he can't do that. So he devises plan. So, okay, fine. He says, pure devotion is best to me. You don't go anywhere. Focus on me. I will help you everything. But people who can't do, there has to be some other option. So he says, okay, fine. Even if you want to fulfill your desires, you don't want to come to me, no problem. You worship these demigods. They will fulfill your desires. But, so it is for them. But Krishna says, but I am also giving you knowledge. If you directly come to me, that's the best. So that's the second option. It is not the first message. First and topmost message is pure devotion. If you can't do that, okay, at least do this for you. Accept some authority. So he's trained in authority, no? There's some people higher than me. Otherwise, people who worship desires, they are demigods, they think we are whole soul, no? They become demons. So that's the point. But we don't preach that. Because our message is Gita message. Krishna is saying this message. They do so in wrong way. You have to convince them, directly come to Krishna. That's our job as a subjects. We are not king. We are not supposed to think like Krishna. We have to do our job, what is told by king. You see, so that's the point. So,
in this analogy, you see the king and subject. King has a set of the administration people, and first you approach somebody, then you go. That order and hierarchy.
Yeah, hierarchy Krishna has made. All these demigods. But to us, order is something else. What is order to everybody? It's a different order. No, to us, order Krishna is saying, preach my Gita. And he says, convince them, help them to come to me. That's what our job should be, no? As a good subjects, He'll explain them. These are demigods. They feel happy if you serve Krishna. Directly focus on Krishna. Focus on Krishna. If you go to Vrindavan, nobody knows anything except Krishna. That's pure devotion. That's love, no? Love demands love you cannot share, no? Is it?
Prabhuji, can this also be interpreted that although they worship other demigods and everything, but their approach of worshipping
That's wrong.
Is wrong. So in a way, some people is take a water and then serve that way, or some people go and do some sacrifices in the name of God.
That's also one meaning. That can be the meaning. Yeah, people speculate and they do their own ways.
Right.
That's also one meaning. That's also one. But here Krishna specifically talks about those who are devotee of other gods, who worship them in faith, they do so in wrong way. That can also mean, that's also one meaning. They do something, speculate, doing something wrong things, yeah.
Right.
That can mean. Okay, and then 25th verse, Krishna says his dictum. Yanti deva vritadavan pitriyanti pritavida bhutani yanti bhutejya yanti madhyajinopi mam. Those who worship demigods will take birth among demigods. That's a problem. Those who worship ancestors go to ancestors. Those who worship ghosts take birth among them. Those who worship me live with me. And if you are not living with Krishna, you are subjected to birth, death, disease, old age. You don't solve the problem. So, it's not that all paths go to one place. Different paths go to different places. That's wrong. All paths go to one destination. No. Everybody is not Swargvasi, no. People die Swargvasi. Why, bhai? He should be Narkvasi. He didn't do anything. He was sinful. So that's a problem there. So this verse you should quote. If anybody says all paths lead to same goal, no. Quote this verse. सब एक जगह नहीं जाते भाई. It's wrong. You quote this verse. And then Krishna says, and
those who worship their ancestors go to ancestors.
yeah, we have also a Pitralok.
Pitralok, yeah.
This is Dharti, Bhu, below Bhu is Atal, Vital, Sutal, Talatal, Rasatal, Patal.
And below
Then Yampuri, and then side of this is Pitralok. So those ancestors which have done pious credits, which are not in ghostly bodies or not in hell or whatever in heaven, which have done a lot of pious credits, they go to Pitralok, is type of heaven. They go there. They enjoy there. So you Shraddh, it goes to Pitralok. And then they get liberated from there, from sins. And they get a devotee family, they start their devotion. Like that it happens. So you can go there. So Kiputram Pashvam Phalam
they take
Tuyam.
birth in the material planets. So.
Yeah, of course, Pitralok is material birth.
No, once after.
Once again. But Krishna says to worship demigods is difficult. There's so many processes, no? Yagyas. There's to worship ghost, difficult, tantra and elaborate. To worship ancestors, it's big, puja and all these things. To worship me, 26th verse. If one offers me with love, devotion, a leaf, a flower, a flute, water, I will accept it. It's so easy to worship me. 9:26. Krishna is saying, see, if you don't worship me, you will go in wrong place. And why to worship me? It's easy. We heard that Susukham Kartum Abhyam. It's very happy, see. It's happy. Simple. You simply have to offer some food with love, chant his names. What easy can Krishna make more than that? No?
Yet deep. Simple.
Yeah, simple yet deep. If still you can't do, then Krishna will, he'll catch his hairs, what should I do with them? Even if they can't do this. So this is most confidential knowledge. See, he's comparison. That is most confidential. And then you come to this point, then you can read in between. And then, and then here, this verse you should read. No, 30th verse. Again, most confidential knowledge. He is talking about nature of devotees. Just like nature of God is confidential, people can't understand. Nature of devotees also you can't understand. And he says, even if one commits, 9 chapter 30th verse, even if one commits most abominable action, if he is engaged in devotional service, he is considered to be saintly, because he is properly situated in determination. Now the point to understand in this verse is, it's not that you keep on killing and you are most abominable action by chance, by your habit. Not willfully. If you do willfully, that's wrong. But by habit something can happen. You see, Krishna is telling, there are many other dhyanis, yogis, whatever, so many processes. And those people might do wonderful things, mystic powers, and they might be in samadhi for 8 years. There are so many rishis. But a devotee who is coming to devotion, he might be doing some simple wrong things, out of his habit, because he's simply coming and serving Krishna. But Krishna says, according to me, he's sadhu. He's much more elevated than all those people, because they are on the journey, but not on the destination. But you have already on the destination. You have understood me. After many lifetimes, they will come to this conclusion, Krishna is supreme, I have to love him. But you're already there. So you might be not that elevated you might not look that elevated, but you are much more than them. Have faith in me. Krishna is saying, anybody who comes to me is beyond everybody. He's rare. And that's most confidential knowledge. No? You need to have faith for that. Or Krishna is saying, yes, I don't need to follow anything. I need to love him, to chant his name, he will do everything. See, that's the nature of devotee. So externally a devotee might look like a neophyte, not that. He's not in samadhi. I never saw him in samadhi. But he's much more elevated because he's serving Krishna. That's what is the point.
Even if we are yogis who are in samadhi, they are glorifying Lord Krishna.
No. We are talking about yogis who are meditating on mystic powers. Those kind of yogis, not others. Like that. Okay, so, and then you come to the last verse. Krishna gives his dictum. Manmana, 9 chapter 34th verse. Manmana madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mam ebe shri yuktvevam atmanam mat parayana. Krishna, here Bhagavad Gita ends actually. Yeah. Here ends. But after this, whatever is happening, Krishna is, whatever we have discussed, Krishna will explain in details, and there's some things more which Krishna wants to tell from his own side. But here he ends. Finish. It's ending. And after this you will read 10 chapter first verse. I'll tomorrow tell you. Krishna will say, I am telling you again some other things, but in more details, and to make you expert to walk in journey. There are many obstacles in journey, and now I'll warn you, and I'll tell you how to walk. So that's something extra information. No? Otherwise you walk now. That's okay. So what Krishna says, engage your mind always in thinking me, become my devotees, offer obeisances, worship me, become completely absorbed in me. Surely you will come to me. If you cannot think of me always, become my devotee. Follow rules and regulations. If you cannot become my devotee, if you cannot follow rules, regulations, at least offer obeisances to me. Start with this. Come to temple, come to my devotees, at least associate. Listen. If you cannot do this, at least worship me. At least go to my temple. Understand I am supreme. At least understand this, I am supreme. This knowledge you should have. Offer obeisances, offer some flowers. Start with this. So he is giving steps. If you cannot do this, do this. If you cannot do this, do this. But highest thing is engage your mind always in thinking. You should come this. And this is only possible if you have love. You can't do this. And that's most confidential knowledge. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Anything else? Anybody wants to ask any questions? Or
Prabhuji, you were saying that in the path of devotion also we will feel that bliss and happiness. There is no struggle, you mentioned. But we struggle to get up in the morning.
Yeah, there is. This is a good question. Somebody can ask, I'm struggling with chanting. My mind is going here and there. Getting in morning. So, but Krishna says it is happy. You know why? Because do you feel struggle to earn money for your family members? For your child and wife? Yeah. There is struggle. Yeah. But you feel very happy, no? Yeah. Similarly, this struggle is full of happiness. Because you're doing for Krishna in love. So you don't feel that.
Could you come again, Prabhuji? That's actually a nice question.
So the question is that it's difficult to do devotion. No? You struggle, no?
Yeah.
But Krishna says in Gita, it's full of happiness, this process. But you say it doesn't seem like happiness. I'm like messed up in my mind. I can't focus. So Krishna says, no. This struggle is full of happiness. Because this struggle is not for you. This struggle is for Krishna. If you struggle for somebody else, it is full of happiness, no? Like freedom fighters.
Yeah.
They're struggling, but they're full of happiness. It's not personal agenda. We are struggling to attain God, to love Him, because He wants that. He'll become pleased, no? It is not just our pleasure. You're struggling not only to make your life comfortable, but make your dependents' life comfortable, wife and children. And that is more important than your life. So Krishna is more important than our life. That's why, although this is struggle, but it will not appear to you as struggle, it will be full of happiness. That's what Krishna says. And there's another meaning. See, if you struggle for something, and you might be struggling for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, 10 years, but if you are in a happy mood, already your 10 years will look like 1 second, no? Is it? Time will go like that. So that's why Krishna is saying, why is saying it is so happy? Because it will appear to be very easy to you. Anything easy is happy, no? Because this process is very easy. And in this process, I'll give you so much bliss. I'll give you bliss. Although this is difficult to chant, but by mercy, I'll give you bliss. Just like yesterday, everybody was chanting and dancing. Like we are not super devotees that we dance, but He is giving bliss from His own side. So this journey will not actually feel so long. It will feel, when you attain perfection, when you see Krishna face to face, then you will say, oh my God, it didn't seem a long way. So quickly it happened. Because He is helping you, He is giving you bliss all along. That's all. Okay.
Yeah, one thing, what does exactly realized knowledge mean, Prabhuji?
Realized knowledge means you see. If you know God and you realize God, what's the difference? You know God, you have information. You realize God, you see Him face to face. You see Him in your heart. Pratyaksh, we talked. Pratyaksha vagamam. This bhakti will give you realized knowledge. You can see, you can talk to Him face to face. There are many devotees who have met God, seen God. We have in history, we know so many devotees, saints.
Like Moses.
Everybody, in Christianity, in Islam, in Hinduism, if you put names, there are so great saints everywhere who have realized God, and you can also do. So that is realization. You realize soul. You know soul, but realize soul is you chant and you can see your soul. You can see your form, your original form of spiritual spirit. So that's realized knowledge.
Thank you.
And there's another meaning. What is meaning? What is between knowledge and realization? At the level of knowledge, you can get confused. Because you have information, but at the level of realization, you can never get confused. You have seen that, right? That's why I gave that example. You never get confused. Have you ever get confused in your 40 years of life that you are this shirt? You're wearing this shirt entire day. You don't get confused because this is realization. You know. But this body we are confused now. Although we are wearing this body like a dress. But once you're realized, you're convinced. This is shirt. See? That's realization. You're not confused. Okay, if there's any questions, otherwise we'll stop. She is asking. Yes.
Prabhuji, last time when you came, you mentioned about some guru in Vrindavan who took sannyas when he was 7 years old, and his guru took sannyas when he was 5 years old.
Yeah.
But when he was 80 years old, he was confused about the Supreme.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this process is easy, but I mean, this is...
No, listen. Your question is valid, and this question will be answered afterwards in 16th chapter and 17th chapter. Although this process is perfect, there is no confusion, but there is Maya acting. And she will do everything to confuse. And how she does, that Krishna explains afterwards. There are obstacles. That's why I told, 9th chapter Gita is finished. But then your question, there are obstacles. What are the obstacles? Krishna will warn now. And if we are not careful, we can always fall down. That's the point. But if we are sincere, we don't get confused. He will help. But there are many, but still illusion will work. Illusion will work. And if any time confusion comes in your life, that's probably due to insincerity. And that's the bottom. And Krishna will talk about that afterwards.
Mataji was asking one question. I and he, Krishna mentions, right?
No, but so is it clear to you?
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you.
Yeah, he will mention. Yeah.
Yeah, Mataji was asking one question before that Krishna mentions first person, third person. In he and I are indirectly
we will talk afterwards.
Oh,
that will come 15th chapter. Okay, Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.